Hello, I'm Alex Nitzberg, and welcome to another live episode of the Alex Nitzberg Show. So today I'm going to talk about a few things, starting out with the number of House Democrats who just voted to protect female sports. That would be zero, nada, bupkis, zilch. Not a single House Democrat on this vote this week that I'm about to show you voted in favor of protecting female sports. And also I'm going to talk about a little bit about update about the current state of the GOP presidential primary. And also Twitter. I'm going to talk a little bit about Twitter. You guys probably know that Elon Musk took over there, and there have been changes going on, and there's a good policy change that I'm going to mention here. So let me switch over to my other thing. Oh, before I do that, let me mention I've been doing these shows on Saturdays at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you've been enjoying them, that's the time every week, Saturday at 3:30. You can watch the live episodes of the Alex Nitzberg Show. If you've been enjoying the shows, please give it a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Also subscribe, and if you'd like to keep watching them, you can also subscribe on Rumble. And also, I invite you to follow me on Twitter. And I think eventually I'm going to start live streaming these on Twitter as well. But anyway, please follow me on Twitter as well if you're on Twitter. So let me switch over here. So here we go. All right, thank you for that thumbs up. I just saw somebody give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much. All right, so check this out. You can see here that there is this measure, HR 734, and it passed in the House, and it says, you can see here, to amend the Education Amendments of 1972 to provide that for purposes of determining compliance with Title IX of such acts in athletics, sex shall be recognized based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. Basically, I mean, that pretty much encapsulates it. It's going to say that, here, let me just go down here and show you. It says, it shall be a violation of subsection A for a recipient of federal financial assistance who operates, sponsors, or facilitates athletics programs or activities to permit a person whose sex is male to participate in an athletic program or activity that is designated for women or girls. And it stipulates here, specifically, for the purposes of this subsection, sex shall be recognized based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. Now, yes, it is absurd that this is something that members of Congress have to try and advance. Why do we have to vote on something like this? Well, because the radical leftist gender ideology that's being pushed, throughout society by the left. And so this is obviously like a common sense measure, protect female sports from being infiltrated by biological men masquerading as women or girls. And you can see here, it's saying Section 901 of the Education Amendments of 1972, blah, 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 is amended. So, and over here you can see this here. It says prohibition against discrimination. No person in the United States shall on the basis of sex be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. And that's Title IX right there. So that's from Title IX. But here you go. Here's the roll call for the vote. You ready? I just told you before. Republicans, 219, and then Democrats, 0. So no Democrats, and you can see up here the total roll call. Now, there were some people who didn't vote. You can see that there were some Congress members that didn't vote. But among the Congress members that voted, it was strictly a party line vote with Republicans voting to pass, Democrats voting against it. Now, it's not, the measure basically is doomed to failure because President Biden, who I'm sure is everyone's favorite president who's watching this show right now, there's this statement of administration policy which clearly states if the president were presented with HR 734, he would veto it. So it probably won't even make it through the Senate anyway, but if by some miracle it did make it through the Senate, he's going to veto it. If he vetoes it, the Republicans wouldn't have enough, they wouldn't have a ability to override the veto. They don't have enough, people, not enough seats in both chambers of Congress. So what we have here is all the House Democrats who voting against protecting female sports. And we have the president stating that he will veto it. So there you go. That's the state of the Democratic Party for you today. And here's some of what it says here. It says, as a national ban that does not account for competitiveness or grade level, HR 734 targets people for who they are and therefore is discriminatory. So, yeah, you wouldn't want to discriminate against that. You wouldn't want to have sex-based discrimination in sports by blocking men and boys from playing in girls and women's sports. So, but here's the thing. So that's the Biden administration's position. We're going to veto this. What do they want to do? Well, here's this fact sheet. U.S. Department of Education's proposed change to its Title IX regulations on students' eligibility for athletic teams. So the Department of Education has proposed a rule that would basically prohibit blanket bans of sex-based segregation in school sports. And so the Biden administration wants to say, they're saying you could do it in certain instances. You could segregate based on sex, but they're saying not in all cases. They don't want a blanket ban that just says no biological males in female sports. And here's what this proposed rule says. It says, if a recipient adopts or applies sex-related criteria that would limit or deny a student's eligibility to participate on a male or female team consistent with their gender identity, such criteria must, for each sport, level of competition, and grade education level, be substantially related to the achievement of an important educational objective and minimize harms to students whose opportunity to participate on a male or female team consistent with their gender identity would be limited or denied. So you can see right there what they're doing is they're saying you can have sex segregation in sports, but not all the time. You can't. They don't want a blanket ban, and they say that. Let's see over here. The proposed rule would establish that policies violate Title IX when they categorically ban transgender students from participating on sports teams consistent with their gender identity just because of who they are. The proposed rule also recognizes that in some instances, particularly in competitive high school and college athletic environments, some schools may adopt policies that limit transgender students' participation. So they'll allow it in some cases, but they're saying if you're going to do it, you have to meet these criteria that I showed you back here. And so also I just wanted to mention that it's their proposed rule. It says that it would apply to public K-12 schools as well as colleges, universities, other institutions that receive federal funding. So there you go. The Biden administration for you. It's pretty crazy that this is a fight that we have to have, but it's happening. And you can keep your eyes out for what happens. I don't think, even though that measure I talked about earlier passed in the House, it probably won't pass the Senate, and obviously Biden will veto it if it gets to him. All right, so next topic I have here is Twitter. And Twitter has previously apparently had this policy that was against what people refer to as dead naming. And once again, this is another radical leftist gender ideology thing. That's a terminology that they use. Basically means referring to someone with their real name, their original name. So for instance, somebody whose name was Alex or Alexander, and then they decide that they're a girl, and then their new name is Alexandra or whatever. If you refer to them as Alexander, that would be dead naming because you're using their real or original name, their birth name that goes with their birth gender, but then they transition and now they're pretending they're a girl. So now they want to be referred to with a girl name, and you're using their dead name, their old name. So they have this policy that's basically, they had this policy on Twitter that you couldn't, it was against dead naming and misgendering. Now, misgendering, more radical leftist gender terminology. Misgendering, what it should mean is referring to a biological boy as a girl, but actually what they mean when they say it is you're referring to them as their actual gender, but it's not the gender that they want to be referred to. So misgendering is simply referring to someone with a gender they don't want to be referred to. So a boy who identifies as a girl, but you refer to that biological boy who identifies as a girl as he, they would call that misgendering, even though you're actually accurately gendering, but according to radical leftist gender ideology dogma, that would be misgendering. It's a whole confusing mess there. I mean, it's not that confusing, but you see what I'm saying. So if you look at this hateful conduct policy, and I'm at web.archive.org, so this is an old version of the policy, an archived version. And if you scroll down here, you can see that previously under this slurs and tropes section, it said, we prohibit targeting others with repeated slurs, tropes, or other content that intends to degrade or reinforce negative or harmful stereotypes about a protected category. This includes targeted misgendering or dead naming of transgender individuals. That's what the old policy said, but when you look at this new version here, and this is what it currently says on the help.twitter.com website, they still have this slurs and tropes section, but if you look at it, it doesn't say anything about the transgender, the dead naming, or anything like that. So that's disappeared, and that's a positive development. If you paid any attention before Elon Musk took over Twitter, you might have noticed sometimes people were their tweets were getting slapped down and, penalties against their account because they were doing things like referring to a person who's a biological male who's identifying as a woman. They would refer to them, as a man or something like that. They would get in trouble. So it seems with Elon Musk's new Twitter, that's probably not going to be happening. And if you pay attention to YouTube and stuff like that, you know that there can be problems with YouTube demonetizing people and doing things like that. So it looks like Twitter might be a pretty good free speech platform. We'll have to wait and see how it goes with Elon Musk and all that, but it seems like it's going pretty well. And if you are not already following me on Twitter, please do so. Hopefully Elon Musk will make Twitter a better platform for video, and maybe eventually people that are doing YouTube can switch over to Twitter, and then they won't be censored as much as they would be on YouTube. So hopefully I can eventually maybe build up something on YouTube and then migrate over to Twitter, and maybe be able to make money on videos over there, but not worry about YouTube censorship. So although right now I'm actually not making money on YouTube videos anyway, but I was at one point, but then I'm not anymore, and anyway, that's whatever. But so I'm hoping that Twitter can become a good free speech platform. So all right, so one other thing, or a couple other things sort of. I made this video earlier this week just to announce that Larry Elder announced that he's running for president. So if you haven't already watched that, go ahead and check that out. You guys are probably familiar with Larry Elder. He ran for governor a couple years ago in 2021 during that state, California's gubernatorial recall contest. And unfortunately, while he came in first place among possible replacement candidates, he actually lost, in the sense that he didn't really, he didn't lose, but Governor Newsom was not recalled. So, Governor Newsom remained in office, and then none of the replacement candidate people that were running got to, replace him. So, but he's running. You can check out that video if you'd like to. But here, if you look at the 2024 presidential nomination polls, Trump is winning by quite a bit. If you look at this here, there's a Wall Street Journal. Let me skip over here. They have this thing here, and it says Wall Street Journal poll of 600 likely Republican primary voters conducted April 11th through 17th. Margin of error plus or minus 4. And check it out. You can see here, Donald Trump is not only, Donald Trump's, he's winning. So that's happening. And I've said before, I don't think anybody except DeSantis has any chance. Like when you look at these polls and stuff, or just if Asa Hutchinson, Nikki Haley, no way. So, and even DeSantis, he's not beating Trump, obviously. Now he hasn't announced that he's running yet, so maybe we'll see what happens when he gets in. But there's that. Also, I want to show you this Trafalgar Group poll. They have these 3 polls that were conducted before Trump declared that he would be indicted, after Trump declared he would be indicted, and after the actual indictment. And you can see what's going on here is Trump is kind of rising, and I think DeSantis was falling. So before he declared indictment, it says he was at 43.8, and then it says after he declared indictment, he was at 44.4. Not really much of a difference. But it says DeSantis went down a little and he went up a little, not a lot, really. And then it says, look, after actual indictment, 56.2. And DeSantis down to 22.5. So that's the current state of that, and we will see what happens. I hope that DeSantis will get in. Probably, I don't know when he's going to get in. Probably he made it sound like he would announce something after Florida's legislative session. So that ends in early May. So maybe next month. But hopefully he will get in, and then we'll see what happens there. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Who are you hoping runs? What do you think about all these candidates getting in? Are there any that you would support? Would you support DeSantis? Would you support Trump? Let me just check to see if I got any comments here. No comments yet. All right, if anybody has a comment, put it in quick because I'm about to wrap things up here. So let me just say before I go that if you are enjoying these shows, I'm doing them at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday afternoons. And if you can subscribe to this channel if you would like to, and also ping that notification bell. Again, I'll reiterate, please follow me on Twitter if you haven't done that already, and also you can check out Rumble, where I post the videos as well. But thank you guys for watching this episode of the Alex Nitzberg Show, and please join me next Saturday for another episode.